Hello everyone and welcome to this video, which is in our great engine game series and our crazy Leela series. I'm Grandmaster Matthew Sadler, and for you this video I have got a series of tactics taken from games played by Leela at night odds, and your task, if you choose to accept it, will be to find the tactics that Leela found. None of them are too complicated, but all of them are pretty nice really, so should be a little bit of fun. Let's start off with this game, and this was played by Leela against a 2800 player at 5+3, so pretty strong. Leela just played G3 just to stop the mate on G2, and Black's got a few difficulties despite the material advantage. Obviously the knight's on prise, the back rank is weak, and also the pawn on C7 is weak. Black went for counterplay with Queen G4. And, well, your task is to find the solution. I'm going to pause for a couple of seconds. You can pause the video if you like, then find the solution, and then I'll give it to you afterwards. The solution here was actually missed by Leela. Leela played the move Queen E3 and won later, but actually much stronger was simply Rook E8 check in this position. And after Rook takes E8, we go Rook E8, Knight E8, and Queen F8, checkmate. It's funny, crazy Leela does miss tactics from time to time, but normally there isn't much of a problem to it. But quite funny all the same. This next one was a game played against 2100 player, long time control, 15+5. Black hasn't done too badly, got two pieces for the rook still, and an extra pawn as well. Obviously the king side's a little bit worrisome with the pawn on h6 and the knight ready to invade on f6, but nothing too terrible. Leela's last move was to attack the rook on c3 there. So Black played the natural Queen C7, just protecting the rook, keeping control of the C file. And what did Leela play here? Well, Leela played the very cunning Rook takes A3, Rook A3, and Queen B4, forking the knight on F8 and the rook on A3. So actually, Black has to lose this rook on A3 because the obviously you can't allow the knight on F8 to disappear. So Black actually resigned in this position. Onwards and upwards, a really sneaky one. This player played an awful lot of games against Leela, suffered quite a bit, and sometimes was doing really well and then got horribly cheapoed. And this is one of those games. Black's still a piece up. Not very easy to make progress with the rook on h7, queen f6 tied down to the g7 pawn. And everything else quite well protected, but still, you know, you'd say that that Black's doing pretty well. Black played a very natural King B5 just to get out of the possible threat of Rook G6 in this position, but unfortunately it allowed something else. What did it allow? The rather vicious tactic that Leela found was the move C4 check. Discovering an attack of the rook on a2. So after something like b takes c3, rook a2, white is pretty much winning really, because you're going to come in with queen a1 and then just mate the king over there. A really, really vicious tactic there. This next game sort of shows that when Leela starts attacking, there's never really a question of just being able to get away with a little bit somehow. It's normally more or less terminal when it all sort of starts. So this is some sort of slow Sicilian that Leela played, and well, it's accelerated rather quickly. A lot of pressure now on the F file. Black played the move knight d5, hoping to release a bit of tension there, and at least have some way later of defending the f7 pawn. But Leela found a great way to finish off the game quickly. What did Leela play here? Yeah, Leela played the great Rook takes f7 check here. Very unpleasant. After king f7, we get bishop takes d5. And yeah, wherever the king goes, it's just going to end up being checkmate. If you go to f8, then I bring the rook into f1. Thank goodness it wasn't rook odds, and there's just no way for the king. The king's just going to get mated. So one of those incredibly quick finishes from Leela in these openings. This next one was against another very strong player, played at 1+1. Yeah, against a 2700 player. So yeah, it had been a bit of a wild game. So Leela had basically transferred rooks over the third rank, sacrificed on h6, and is busy sort of doing stuff. Black had played this bishop e2 move to try and slow down the attack, and Leela had played f5. And here Black played the move bishop takes h5, which at first sight seems to cover everything, get rid of the rook and protect the knight on g6. But how did Leela finish this off? Yeah, Leela was not worried about pieces. Leela just played the move f6 here, and the queen is going to give mate on g7. And well, Black's a rook 2 pieces down, but or rather Black's a rook and 2 pieces up, but can't stop mate. So Leela won that game as well. This next game I'm going to give in its entirety because it's quite a stunning one, really. It's one of those Leela lightning attacks that tend to happen somehow. This time h3 and g4, not even as a pawn sacrifice. Bishop on b2. Black takes the opportunity to swap off the rooks and then castles and thinks I'm safe. But Leela just swings the rook over and starts hitting. Knight d7, rook g1, f5, knight d4, e5, queen h5. And like in about 4 or 5 moves, suddenly every single piece that white has is involved in the attack. So Black tried to slow things down, but that didn't really work. Rook takes g7 check, king h8, queen g6, and now knight f6. And just for a moment, you might think, oh, has Black sort of managed to hold things together somehow? But there's a very nice, typical easy win here. Can you find what Leela played? Yep, Leela played the move rook h7 check here, just freeing the g7 square for the queen to deliver mate. Just a really one of those beautiful flowing games somehow. Really great. This next game was one of a huge series played by a very nice guy who I talk about odds with on Twitter. He's playing loads and loads and loads, and at times got very, very close, but really didn't manage to win very many at all, and lost quite a few as well. But this was a really cruel one, actually. So, you know, he's done pretty well here, right? I mean, White's got a pawn for the piece, but Black looks pretty safe, really. And you could sort of say, okay, well, you know, gradually let's try and get in there and gradually roll White back. Not going to be easy, but we can do it. And to that end, Black played the move rook g8, which looks incredibly natural. Hitting the queen on g5, it's probably got to come back to yeah, maybe it's got to come back to e3, or maybe it'll go to f5, but that'll give the black queen some room. But can you find the very unpleasant riposte that Leela found? Yeah, the vicious counterblow was rook h6 in this position, which just wins on the spot. It's just incredible how Leela finds these tactics. So the big problem is that the queen is trapped. And if you take on g5, then rook h8 is just mate on the back rank. And yeah, if you go queen g7, I simply take as well, and then mate on the back rank. It's that simple. It's just absolutely unbelievable that this tactic works. But yeah, it really does. Quite amazing. Ooh, this is one of my favorites, actually. So again, against a very strong player, 5 minutes plus 3 blitz. So yeah, for night odds, you can say that Leela will be pretty satisfied with the outcome of the opening. Got a rook for 2 pieces now, invaded on g7. It's looking really, really strong. But black tried the move c takes d4 to exchange off queens. Can you find Leela's riposte here? It's an incredibly visual move, as my friend and colleague Julian Hodgson used to say. White can play the move knight e6 check. Absolutely beautiful. So f takes e6, we take on e7, and after king e8, we go knight c7 check first. And if king takes, we take, and then we take the rook. And well, it's a huge material advantage, and the win won't be far away there. Lovely idea, isn't it? Knight e6, incredible. Oh, this is a nice little one. So yeah, I mean, black sort of got out of the opening okay, although the king feels a little bit weak. There's nothing totally bananas happening yet, but black decided that he could exploit the pin on the c3 pawn by playing knight takes d4. So what did white play in this position? What did crazy Leela play? Well, Leela played the move bishop g6 check. It's really nice. It's a nice variation on this discovered attack. The key point is that if you take with the king on here, I'm not just going to take the knight on d4. I'm going to play bishop takes f6 discovered check, and then king there. And well, what do I want to do? Bishop d4 discovered check, and then afterwards take on g7. So yeah, the best you've got is king f8 and then rook d4, and well, yeah, white's a pawn down, but he's got huge compensation, of course, for the piece. Actually, black resigned after rook takes d4. A lot of players there, you know, once Leela gets equal in material, they're tending to say, okay, that's it. We'll try the next one. But lovely little variation there on that typical discovered bishop light square check somehow. Just I like this discovered attack very much. Ah, this one is a nice one. Leela just somehow has managed, in some sort of Benoni type position, has managed to get doubled rooks on the H file plus the H file open. Pretty impressive. It was a very early H5 knight takes H5. Actually, just let me show you just how that opening went, and you can see H4 already. Takes G6 H5. I mean, frankly, you could try this as well with a knight on b1. I mean, turned out to be really dangerous. So this is the position that arose, and black took the offered bishop on c4. How did white finish this off? Not too difficult, but still very beautiful. White played the move queen takes g5 check here, with the idea that h takes g5 allows rook h8 checkmate. The knight on f5 is covering the g7 square. Ah, yeah. This one against another very strong player who played a lot of games against Leela at 1+1. One of those typical positions, really, where you know black's done pretty well, but Leela's sort of fought through and managed to get some pawns for the piece. And now you're in a situation where you're sort of saying, "Oh my goodness, you know, am I going to lose all my pawns here?" But you've got a queen on f5, rook at h1, attacking the knight on h7. Obviously, queen g7 would allow queen takes d5. So the move you want to play is rook g7 here, and kind of hoping for queen f8, rook g8 with a possible draw. Okay, Leela, you held the draw, well done, but that's it. But what did Leela play here? Yeah, this is a typical mating pattern, and one of those things that you see so often, you know, that players try to bail out with a draw against Leela, and then they get hit by a hammer blow like this. Queen f8 is checkmate, so it's not just a draw, it's Leela winning again. Yeah, this final one was a very, very nice one indeed. So this was a slow Sicilian where Leela had done just a very nice build up here. You know, just king on h1, rook on h1, g4. It's all looking very, very, very typical. And obviously, black's pieces, the queen in particular, is a very long way away from the action. But I still thought the way that that Leela finished it off after knight f6 was very nice, quite unusual in actual fact. So white to play here and win. A little bit more complicated, this one. It's the final one. So this knight f5 idea, very common in these positions, just to open up the g file. But the point is, of course, that if you play the knight to f5, then bishop f5 might follow, and that'll just slow you down a little bit. So what Leela did was to play rook takes c8, queen c8, and knight f5, and this sort of doubles, triples in strength, because not only is the knight attacking the g7 bishop now, and well, stuff like bishop h6 and queen h6 is really dangerous, but we're also threatening the knight e7 fork, forking the queen. You've dragged the queen over to the c8 square. So yeah, g takes f5, g takes f5 is absolutely dead. Knight e8, we just go rook g7 and queen g5. That's completely finished. So black played bishop takes h6, but after queen takes h6, he resigned. Queen g7 is the mate threat, and if you go knight e8 to deal with it, then knight e7 is also checkmate, and winning the queen as well, but checkmate first of all. There we are. That was a quick little blitz through some lovely little Leela tactics there. Nothing too deep, but you know, hope you can see just how many of Leela's wins are just built up of little tactics like that that it's seeing just far better, of course, than his human opponents. And I mean, there were literally hundreds of these, right? And I just tried to pick out the nicest somehow. So hope you enjoyed those. I might do another few of these series, maybe taking them from rook odds and from queen odds as well. Should all be great fun. But anyway, hope you enjoyed that. And keep your eyes peeled for lots more videos. Thanks for watching.